Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Hooray for good internet. I am back, baby. Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's answering the hows and whys of the game. Man, Monday, we got a lot to get into, some good news, some exciting news, some sad news. We got a little bit of everything. We got anticipation. We got a full range of emotions. How's it going, Johnny?
I think I'm doing better than you are. I'm not in a glass case of emotion today. Your buddy, your friend who you met his lovely wifey at the Cleveland game.
A 30-second story. Here's the 30-second story.
It better be 30 seconds.
Yeah. So Cleveland Browns, we lost that game. We all know that. We went into that game undefeated, and it was the rain, cold, and we missed the field goal. At that game, at halftime, I finally had the guts to talk to this beautiful woman next to me who was shivering, and it was George Odum's now wife, literally sitting right next to me, not a few rows down, not 2 seats down, literally right next to me. Talk about luck of the draw. Like the bad draw that she drew. But she was a wonderful person, very sweet, very lovely, very nice. We had a great conversation about football and life, and I'm just sad. I messaged her on Instagram to say good luck to her family. I am sad. I loved seeing George Odum out there, and I know more than the average person about George Odum from Amanda. And man, it was like a little mini gut punch. I know he's not the best football player to ever live, but I will miss George Odum.
Yeah, Adam is kind of the bizarro guy where some guys will say, this is going to be 30 seconds and it's 10 minutes. And Adam is more like it's going to be, most guys are saying it's going to be 10 minutes and it's 30 seconds. So Adam's a bizarro man in that sense. So, but yes, George Odum was a surprise release from the 49ers this last week. It appears that he had some sort of non-football injury. Don't know exactly what the specifics of that are, whether that was an injury while training, whether that was an injury while having fun on the 4th of July. I don't know. I'm hoping he has all of his appendages still left after that, unlike some former NFL players have experienced. It could have been an injury while he was kneeboarding. I don't know. I would hope that at his athletic prowess, he would be at least wakeboarding and not kneeboarding, but you never know. I'm not going to judge. But But he was released. It does free up a roster spot, most likely because they had guaranteed him, I think, $1 million of his $1.9 million contract. Most likely, this was because he just wasn't going to be available, and so they have let him go so that they can fill that camp body spot with somebody who can compete in some sort of way, and they may look to bring him back after training camp, whatever this injury is heals, or he can go and find work somewhere else too. So that's was a surprising thing because George Odum has been a 2-time All-Pro as a special teams guy. Not, sometimes the articles will almost mislead you on exactly who was being cut and what was, because they'll say 49ers released 2-time All-Pro, and you go, I like George Odum. All-Pro might be overstating it and his impact a little bit. He was a special teams All-Pro, meaning he was a special teams gunner. So he was a very good gunner
Yeah.
that did his role and widely viewed that way around the league. As a starting safety, there are some deficiencies there, and had been on the butt end of a couple rough plays, but is somebody that, from the special teams perspective, will be very difficult to replace. And so, hoping him the best, hoping him for a quick recovery and moving forward. But we'll see probably either tomorrow or Wednesday who they sign to bring in for that role. It would be interesting because the 49ers have struggled in some ways with their special teams units. I would not be surprised if they try and go and get somebody from the Jets that our special teams coordinator has worked with in the past at this stage in the game. That's just my opinion, and that's what I kind of look for.
Yeah, he, like I said, I admit he wasn't the best football player ever to put on pads or anything, but when you kind of meet the wife, and just now all of a sudden you look at him a little bit differently and stuff, and he
It,
was
it,
an
it
Indianapolis Colt, and I follow the Colts because I live in Indiana.
Yeah,
And
and it kind of reminds you these guys are human. I mean, this
you're
isn't
right.
this isn't a Madden roster where you just kind of ship guys around and sign whoever, cut whoever, and force guys to take a pay cut if they will, if the algorithm will let you, sort of thing. It's very much, these are human beings with human emotions and families. And when I hate seeing guys that are good people and that have been good teammates and good members of your team having things like this happen, because it's not just a disruption to their income, but it's also a disruption to their family and where they live and their kids and all that kind of stuff. I hate seeing it when guys have this, because we forget sometimes that things happening at this point of the year is somebody may have a 6-month lease where they are, or a year lease where they are.
Right.
Now that's locked in. They got to go somewhere else. Do they stay there? Do they try and move? Where do they put their kids in school? I mean, it's a lot of things, and it just reminds you these guys are human, and we need to remember that sometimes, especially in a social media age.
Yeah, 100%. We got training camp starting soon. Very excited for that. What guys, let's talk about some of the other moves and who's injured, who's not going to be there. What can we expect? What do you want to start with?
Well, we can announce this, where we can talk about the announcement that came out 3 days ago of the pup list, and which is the physically unable to perform list, and there's the active physically unable to perform list, and then the active non-football injury list. And George Odum was on the active NFI, and there's a number of players that are here on the pup that kind of caused a bit of a kerfuffle over the weekend. And Adam and I talked about that a little bit, that there were some surprises that Ricky Pearsall was still on there, and that Ben Barch is on the NFI list. One thing we have to remember is that there is a formality here, that because immediately it's Ricky Pearsall still on the pup list. This means he's not healthy, and Shanahan said he was pretty much, he could have gone if he really had to at the end of OTAs, which was a month ago. What's going on here? What's going on with Barch? There is a possibility that Ricky Pearsall has had a setback or something. I think this is more of a formality. We're going to find out for sure on Wednesday, but pretty sure that Ricky Pearsall is not injured again. I think we would have heard something as far as some sources inside the building, and that has not been the case. There's a formality here because when a player is held out of a practice, and OTAs are considered a practice, that when players are held out of a team practice due to injury, they cannot come off of an injury list, an injury designation, until they practice again. During the season, this isn't as big of a deal because a guy will be on an injury report one week, he may miss that week, and then Wednesday, they say, okay, he's practiced and he's limited, he's now off the injury report as far as did not participate, sort of a thing. They can update it, but they don't update it until they show up and do that on that Wednesday. Does that make sense? So, like, if Friday on that practice they were not a participant, Wednesday they're a DNP, or excuse me, a limited participant, they go from a DNP to an LP, then you only update that the day that they practice. And that's what's happening here, is that they haven't had an actual practice day. So Ricky Pearsall cannot come off the PUP list until there's a day of practice, which is Wednesday. So everybody kind of freaked out that, oh, the 49ers have placed these guys on these lists. It's a formality until Wednesday. Wednesday, we will know who's practicing and who's not. So everybody's kind of up in arms over Ricky Pearsall, and Shanahan's lying. We'll see. I doubt it. Right now, it's looking like that's the case with Ricky Pearsall and Ben Bartch. The other guys are not much of a surprise. You have Brandon Ayuk rehabbing the horrible knee injury. The fact that he's on the active PUP list, which means he's taking up a roster spot, is a little surprising because then, I mean, there's a possibility of week one. I mean, there really is. They are being extremely cautious on their side, but I mean, that's surprising to me. That Brandon Ayuk is on the active PUP list. And then Malik Mustafa, we're not expecting him through camp. We'll see if he comes off at some point. That's not a big surprise. And then Curtis Robinson, man, that was another one that I was so bummed about last year. And a bad injury to a player who I was so excited about coming out of camp last year, had a great preseason, had a great camp, was looking to be a strong special teamer, and really, I think he was pushing for that number 3 linebacker spot last year. And so, man, I hope he's ready to go for camp. We'll see. He had the ACL tear. It should be right around this time. He should be ramping up. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of the PUP list updates.
So it's a wait and see kind of thing as far as for Wednesday. So hopefully if things go normal and Friday we have our show, we'll have a lot of those questions answered, and Friday should make for a pretty good show. As we talk through camp then, I was wondering if you had like a top 3 list or something of like, okay, things that you're looking for. Like I'll give you one that came to mind for me is Brock Purdy with the receivers that are putting on, gear and going out there, because we know it's maybe not a couple guys obviously that we love to see hopefully in a few months, but there are guys who are ready to go. And what's that connection going to be like over these next few days? That's one thing. And then the second thing I'll say is just Robert Saleh, just in general, just being excited, right? But what say you?
Yeah, I mean, all of it. It's football is back, and training camp represents that thing. And hopefully Ricky Pearsall, I'm believing he's going to be coming off the PUP on Wednesday. He needs a training camp with Brock Purdy within the offense. He hasn't had that. And it reminds me of Brandon Ayuk. His rookie year, he was drafted during that COVID year and missed so much of the offseason program and all of those things. And so Ricky needs to have a real offseason where he's getting the training camp reps and he's getting all that time on the field. Juwan Jennings, hopefully we can get that contract situation worked out. Demarcus Robinson is a player that's a new player to the system, to the the team, they need to get their chemistry and their timing worked out. Really, it's more about the wide receivers. Brock's going to be on time, and he's going to put the ball on the landmarks on time. So
Yeah.
these receivers got to practice different releases, different footsteps combinations from different spots of getting to those spots on time. And so that takes a lot of reps. That takes a lot of different ways. You got to be able to do it versus press, versus bump, versus off coverage, versus a cloud defender, or versus a flat defender, hook curl defender that's going to be in your way. You got to get to these landmarks. And so they've got to work through that timing and things for the receivers. And that those training camp reps are very important to that. And so getting these guys in there, getting Jacob Cowing fully ingratiated into the entire route tree, and then some of these young rookies that show a lot of promise, getting them in there. That's a big part of this offseason. And then getting James Jordan, the running back out of Oregon, who I think is going to be a big part of this offense next year. I think he's somebody who has the tools that he can be that full-time spell for Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't have the home run hitting ability that Isaac Guerrero has, but he doesn't have some of the deficiencies that Isaac Guerrero has. He is more familiar with running the wide zone scheme and these different reading the zone blocks. He's, I think, ahead as a receiver, ahead as a pass protector. So I think he, right to me, would be somebody that makes a lot of sense, but he's got to get the reps. He's got to get some time in a training camp, and we got to keep Christian McCaffrey from burning the tread off his tires in training camp and get him and keep him healthy for week one. But
just work out and do nothing else.
No, I know, because then he usually pushes to even harder. If you have him on the field, you can say you only get 6 reps today, Christian, and that's it. And so you can limit him in some of that. If you tell him he can work out, he's going to be out there running hills for 6 hours, and then I don't know, trying to do things in positive gravity training simulators or something. I don't know, but so. Anyways, what I'm excited about with Robert Saleh is a defensive coordinator who understands what they need to install on what days and keeps them on schedule. It just seemed like last year, and I don't have any insider information on this, it just felt like the defense didn't get to certain portions of their playbook last year. That it's just like the third down packages were just lacking. And that's usually one of the last things that they install during training camp. They install all the base stuff, coverages, and then they start getting to all the different stunts and twists and sim pressures and all these different blitz packages and things like that. That's near the end of training camp usually when they get to that. And it feels like they just didn't quite get to that whole section last year. And then we're always trying to play catch up throughout the year. That's just what it felt like. I don't have any resource on that actually happened, but it gives me a lot more confidence knowing that Robert Saleh has been installing defenses for almost a decade now, and during training camp, and knows what he's doing, and that Shanahan during the preseason games won't be having to spend half of his time on the defensive headsets, making sure these guys are communicating what they need to communicate. That this again is a seasoned veteran presence who understands this is who needs to be talking to who and what they need to be talking about, and this is the information that needs to be communicated directly on the headsets. That's again another behind the scenes thing. Shanahan kind of alluded to that through near the end of the year last year as being some issues that they had. You have a steady hand at the wheel that's able to sort all of that out, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, the receivers are just going to be a huge deal, and we're in a weird spot. I feel like with our receivers, as that our 2 top guys that you could easily argue with, Pearsall and Ayuk, with them as of right this second. I know Wednesday, hopefully, we'll get one of those guys, but with both of them officially not ready to go yet, there's so many question marks. I mean, tight end is good, running back is good, defensive line is good now. Like, we've answered so many questions that the glaring thing for me is a little bit offensive line and wide receivers. Barch, we're really excited for. You mentioned that Wednesday. Hopefully, that's kind of a thing where maybe he comes. Well, are you thinking Barch is also back Wednesday?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I think so. But he missed a practice due to an injury that happened away from the NFL field. I'm also going to say, as people are talking about our rivalry uniforms are supposed to be released this week. All I can
Yeah.
say is it better not be that. Now,
Right.
look, okay. Full disclosure: when I was playing all the NFL football games, in like 8th grade, 9th grade, this is exactly what my uniforms look like. It literally looked like it was designed by 8th grade me when these came out, which was just like
Eighth
the black
grade.
and the red, which was cool on a video game. But the problem I had with these uniforms when I was watching film, it was horrible to see because you couldn't tell who was who. You couldn't read the numbers. You didn't know who was who. If there was a little white on the outline, maybe. This was like during the era when teams were just throwing black onto uniforms just to have black on uniforms. It was like, everybody was going to be sleek and black and murdered out sort of a thing. The Ravens, with their different uniforms looked really cool with their black, and everybody started doing that, throwing it on there in some sort of way. And I did not like these uniforms at all. I like the idea, but it didn't strike home for me. It felt weird having the entire black uniform, this dark red, and then the gold helmet. Like that just didn't seem to work out. It seemed like one of these things is not like the other. Didn't it kind of feel like that to you, Adam? Like
Oh,
it just wasn't a cohesive vision here. It was like somebody drew up the uniforms without the helmet included, and then somebody said, "Well, what helmet are we going to use?" And well, we
right.
got to have gold somewhere, and it's just on the helmet. Was weird. You got to tie it in. Like if you got a brown belt, you got to have the brown shoes. You got to tie it in there
Looked
somewhere. You can't
weird
just
for
have
sure.
the one and done. But I don't know. What do you think in the chat there? Like
So Mike B
these
definitely agrees.
uniforms, yeah, these uniforms have been kind of a weird controversy because we're far enough away from it. Some people are like, I love these uniforms. I want them back. It makes me feel like the Harbaugh era. Other people are like, no, it was a puke stain on the carpet. Like, let it go away. If there had been some sort of gold other than the Nike swoosh, like that was such a little, I don't know, like token gold that's there. They needed something, maybe gold lining on the stripes or something, they needed it somewhere, but I was not a big fan of the All Blacks. It felt weird with the helmet. They needed to add more gold onto the jersey, less gold on the helmet. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I remember it was a Monday Night
And
Football game.
outline the numbers so we could see them.
Carlos Hyde was, I believe, the running back. It was Monday Night Football.
Against the Vikings, he had that spin move on, I think it was an inside zone away from him, or wide zone. He had that spin move, wicked spin move, and outran guys to the end zone. Yeah, we won that game 28-10, I think.
Yeah, and that was the when we wore those black jerseys, and I remember it was the Vikings because I had a bet. I was working in the school system at the time, and hardcore Vikings fan, I had to bring in my Steve Young jersey. She had to wear it all day long at school, and I got tons of pictures. That was amazing. But it was like definitely weird on Monday Night Football to have that the black jerseys with all of a sudden the gold helmets. That's a great point. I didn't think of that. Is like they designed it with forgetting with what the helmet was going to be. If you're going to keep the helmet the same, you do have to adjust for that. So um the all whites from when the throwback in from the 94 Super Bowl year, right? Like those were celebrating the from like the 1960s or whatever, right? Was that right? Do I have that right?
No, 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 no. So the all whites was the old 1994
No, I know, but that
design.
was a throwback though. The 94, they didn't just come up with those. They were throwing back to that's what they were in the 60s, I thought.
No, I don't think so, Adam, because what they did is they took the old cherry red and the numbers and they added a shadow outline to it and made the white a little wider, and then they added white pants because it was gold pants. And they did it
Yeah,
with that's where we first saw any sort of black into the 49ers uniforms, because it had the black stripe on the leg that
right.
tied in with the shadowing of the numbers. And so the all whites is basically this jersey in all white. And I personally, I love the red and the white, like this, because this was my childhood, was growing up with
Oh yeah.
these jerseys in the
Oh yeah.
90s. Because I was a kid. I was born in 84. So this was what I remember so much more, was these ones were the throwbacks. And so I love these throwbacks. I still need to get myself one. I haven't in all these
Celestial.
years. But yeah.
Celestial scripture says those were throwbacks. Chat, help me out. Am I
Okay.
weird?
Okay.
I think that they
We've
were,
got to find that. We've got to
yeah,
do some digging here.
these throwbacks here from 94 were not original. It was a throwback of a throwback. Jedi chimes in and says, I'm right. Because I remember the
No,
Detroit game.
Adam
The Detroit
is
game.
right. Adam is right. I have to.
Aha.
Wow. All
Bang,
right, we're
bang.
all learning something here.
Bang,
Okay.
bang.
Okay.
I remember as a kid watching the Detroit game. And
Adam,
it was,
I have to give credit where credit's due. That is
please.
a great pull.
Yep.
Because so here it is, and I found a color photo, which is not always common with
Okay, there it is.
1955. This
Holy
is
cow.
the 49ers
Yes, sir.
uniforms from 1955. So look at that. Adam comes in
with a banger.
With a banger.
Because in
with some
Detroit,
info I didn't know about. Man.
and Lisa, I do see white jerseys via Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, Lisa.
Okay.
Thanks for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat, Lisa. She's coming in, let everybody know I was wrong. That everybody loves to point it out, because I do see some white here. Yeah, there we go. I didn't know that was from the 50s. See, I only know from the DeBartolo era and on. That's just
That's
I'll
fair.
say that.
Well, I had a dad who would tell me all kinds of. My dad used to break into Kezar Stadium and bribe the security guards with sandwiches. I'm not making this up. He is a pastor now, so he has repented from those things. But my dad has stories of him and his cousins going into Kezar Stadium, and I do distinctly remember watching the Detroit Lions game, and Barry Sanders had some awesome runs against us, but we were wearing those throwbacks, and the commentators, I don't know if it was Madden and Summerall, but the commentators did mention it, and I distinctly remember that. It's weird how your brain, I don't remember what I had for breakfast 18 minutes ago, but I remember little things like that. I know you have, I'm sure you have football Niner memories like that, Johnny, as well, but we all do. But it's just weird how our brain works.
Yeah, and with today's day and age, like, a lot of it comes down to like specific plays. I remember from breaking down film, like I have these weird vaults in there that just like I say these
Dr.
plays like I
Steve.
think everybody else remembers like certain plays in the same way, because I'll be like, oh yeah, we ran this play. Do you remember Jimmy G hit George Kittle on a 48-yard touchdown pass against the Packers in week 11 of 2019, and people will kind of blink and look at me and go, I don't remember a single touchdown from that game. I'm like, well, we ran that play, and it was then, and it was against this coverage. I remember that. So yeah, I will say shout out to the old players with the 1 bar face mask. I mean, that's a bold, yeah,
Mike
like
Topher.
that's a choice. Like that
Yeah.
you're gonna play this game with that. I mean, in even back to the day before they had face masks, sheesh. Like,
Yeah.
that 1 bar face mask was vicious.
Johnny getting a few strays here. Dr. Steve checking in, telling you to stick to tanks.
Dang.
That is, man,
Dang.
that makes you say dang for sure. All right, let's get back to it. I will remind you guys to hit the notification bell if you have not on this very channel, and to take your phone like this and just be like, hey guys, when you're at the supermarket, when you're at Target, spending way more money than you anticipated, go up to Niner fans, show them the channel. Also, if you watched any of the MLB All-Star game or the WNBA shenanigans this weekend, tune into Sports Idiot Nation episode 102 is out today, and we kind of go over that. Should the women get paid more? We get into a little bit of that just to let you know. So, Johnny, what else? Are there any other injury concerns, things you're looking for with training camp?
Just that we stay healthy. I mean, you can look at it's starting to happen, and it sucks. Start seeing it around the league. The Lions, I think it was yesterday or Friday, they had their first day of camp, and they lost the defensive tackle for the season. One of their starters, Okunawize. It's a long name. I can't say it. But that they lost him to a torn ACL first day of camp. And so, I mean, it sucks to see it around the league. And that's what you hope doesn't happen with the 49ers. Just don't, like, we get through camp without any season-ending injuries. That's what I'm hoping for above everything. I think after that, yes, get all these rookies up to speed and get everybody there. So it's going to be a fun, spicy next 6 weeks, Adam. We are just 7 weeks away from real football. 7 weeks from yesterday is the timeline. So we are in a countdown, and we now have training camp and all of that. I can't wait to see all of Brock Purdy's camp interceptions reports. That is like his completion percentage and interceptions in training camp is the biggest, most important news that we will get all year long. And no, I'm just kidding. That's going to be frustrating as always, because it's always going to be a conversation. He can throw no picks and people are going to complain and say, Brock's not trying anything. He's being too conservative and he's not trying new things in camp. This isn't good. And then if he throws 4 picks, they're going to say, oh my gosh, he's going to be terrible. And we just paid this bum. So that'll be fun over the next 6 weeks. But other than that, we're going to have some preseason games coming up. I am almost done with the Alfred Collins video. I recorded the audio for it literally 10 minutes before we went live. So today is going to be a day spent editing out the Alfred Collins video. There's going to be clips that we have shown here in the format that you're used to. If you came onto this channel, the kind of videos that you fell in love with, we're doing that, plus a whole bunch of clips you haven't seen. So make sure to check it out. Most likely we'll be dropping at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. I try and drop it right before the lunch hour for all of the Bay Area people so that they have some amazing or just okay entertainment during their lunch break. So that's when I try and release videos at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be ready for that tomorrow.
Yep. And by hitting the notification bell, that's how you can be sure that you don't miss out on that. Dr. Steve checking in. I'm sure Grant Cohn will be level-headed, football-based reactions. Dr. Steve had Wheaties or put something in his Wheaties today.
He seems like he has extra fiber. He's got extra fiber today. He's got some pep in his step.
Yeah, which I am here for on a Monday morning for sure. Well, this was this. I mean, we are in like that's still the weird time. There's not a ton going on. I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to jinx a single thing. I'm not going to say it. I am okay with having a 35-minute show. I am on board if it means nothing else happens. I mean, I'm really okay with that.
We're not letting you talk about anything else because last time you did this, there was 2 big negatives that happened like back to back. So no, you're gonna remain quiet on there. But that's the rest of it. So Adam, what else are you looking forward to the rest of this week?
So